I'm Kate McCaughey. I'm the Homeschool Community Liaison Coordinator here at St Mary's School, Dorset Street. We have approximately 240 children in the school who speak over 30 languages. So we've quite the diverse community. Part of my job is communicating with parents and getting important messages across. So some of the formal ways that we can do that is getting a translator, which we do for parent-teacher meetings. They're crucial moments. It happens once a year where the teacher and the parent gets to meet. So it's vital that that is completely understood. Sensitive topics might be being discussed, so it's important that confidentiality is kept, and that's why we go for the more formal route of a translator for those meetings. But as anyone who works in a school knows, and the most communication that you have with parents and carers and guardians is the pick up and drop off. And that's when you need the immediate translation or you need the immediate communication. We know that non-verbal communication is key, making sure that we welcome them with a smile, using gestures where we need to, putting on Google Translate, getting that message across and just making sure that we're understood. We've been very lucky. Our community of parents have been very helpful. So some of them have actually helped me in my new role as homeschool community, where we might need to discuss more issues than, my child can walk home or my child forgot their homework. Something a little bit more complicated that Google Translate might not be great for. So some of our parents have naturally and very organically tried to come over and, do you need help? And is it okay for me to help? Is it okay for me to hear what you're saying? I will translate for you if that's something that you're comfortable with. And my answer is always yes, that would be great. We do a young interpreters program here in the school where the children are trained as specialists to help support their peers in their language. There's two parts to that as well. There's the very informal side where, hey, I'm a child, I speak your language. This is what we do here in this school. We eat lunch at this time, all in their home language, all in their mother tongue. And then there's the more formal side where they're actually trained and they meet weekly and they're partnered up. There they get to kind of help each other with the more academic side of this is what's going on in class, this is what we're learning about, could you help me with this? Or do you know what, I'm finding it difficult to navigate the playground. I don't know how to say, I wasn't caught, or no, it's not me, it's you. And they get to kind of help each other out in that way, and they're kind of partnered up for a period of time. With that in mind, we're kind of looking at that template, for want of a better word, on how to kind of not necessarily buddy parents up, but flag parents. Hi, I'm a Romanian speaker. Hi, I'm a Portuguese speaker. Obviously, the parents would have to commit to this or give up their time. So, it's a lot to organise. And there are other services, and we're trying to point parents to those services as well. For example, cross care. They do drop-in clinics. They do different languages on different days. So again, booking an appointment with them to kind of point them in the right direction. So we have a huge Romanian population in St Mary's. So there's a huge community there. They can support each other. It's much easier for them in that sense that there are many people to draw from, many people to help. Same for the children in the school. There's a lot of children who speak their home language as well as English. There are, as I said, over 30 languages. Some of them are small tribal African languages from the Bantu area. There are not that many people that speak those languages. Now, I wouldn't say that they're left behind. I would not say that they are forgotten about. And I can say that with such confidence because those children have said that. And they have named Language Explorers, a brilliant program run by Mother Tongues, as an example of why they don't feel left out. So fine, they might not be able to speak to somebody using their mother tongue, but what Language Explorers does is allows them to find similarities with sounds or even how a language might look, how it's written, and whether it's right to left, left to right, up, down, and having all of those conversations gets them to include their language and put it into the pot, put it on the table for others to discuss, to share. So no languages are left out. And I can really say that. And I can say that with absolute confidence from the children. That's what they would say. There are so many books in our library that are dual language. Before COVID, parents would even come in and read stories in their home languages or tell stories without a book. Sometimes the teacher might have visuals on the interactive whiteboard, but it didn't matter if they were a Portuguese speaker and there was nobody in the class speaking Portuguese. That was not the aim. It was exposure. It was an adventure. It was listening to a story and having the little bits in another language. It starts by the school having a culture of exploring and celebrating languages. Because if you have a culture, an environment that's welcoming and open, and not that old version that we used to think, speak English more and your English will be better, and that's not necessarily the case. Actually, being bilingual, being multilingual has way more benefits than we ever realized before. So getting the parents in is about creating an environment that's welcoming, that they'd want to come in and want to share their home language too. We've done both. We have asked parents to come in. We've started with something that's a bit more, not so much in the spotlight as one parent coming in to tell a story. You could do an international evening and ask the parents to share anything. So it could be a dish that they cook. They could bring in some photographs from home, from their home country. They could bring in anything, a flag, something very, very simple. Or they could record themselves telling a story, or could offer to come into class. And that way it's on their terms as well, and as much or as little as they would want to give. But it can come both ways, I think. One thing I would say about home school communication in different languages is it can be very difficult to navigate. And difficult in the sense that, you know, we're all grown-ups with our own formed personalities at this point. And more often than not, the reason we're having a homeschool communication is not just to share information, like St. Patrick's Day is coming up or International Languages Day is coming up, but sometimes we need to do it for more sensitive issues. There are ways to communicate, and there are services out there. And the first thing I would say to any homeschool community person or any teacher who is looking to, you know, communicate that maybe they can't afford the translating services, it can be quite expensive and they can't get the funding for that. There are services like Crosscare, like Focus and there are services out there, and look for them. There are places like Mother Tongues that have resources to start celebrating languages. And if you're celebrating them in school, the children will bring that home as well. And if they're bringing home that these languages are being spoken and used and celebrated and normalized, then the parent will feel more celebrated and part of and normalized. And it's not unusual that they're speaking Italian even. It doesn't matter. And it just breaks down those barriers and forms those kind of, they're two separate languages, but there's a way to get across and there is a way to communicate, even if it is images, Google Translate, and the help of their child if needs be. There are ways to do it, I think. And it's just about finding them and finding the services that work for you.